Let's dive straight into an ancient text today. A passage that really stares down feelings of inadequacy and points towards, well, surprising future glory.
Mhm.
We're turning our attention to the book of Haggai, specifically chapter 2.
And the scene it paints is incredibly vivid. You have to imagine people standing there looking at this structure they've built, maybe the early stages of the new temple.
Right, they've put in the work.
They have, but they're comparing it to the legendary temple built, centuries before by King Solomon, that amazing structure that was destroyed.
Ah, the famous former house. So they're looking at what they've managed, and the feeling is just, well, the text nails it. Who of you is left who saw this house in its former glory? How does it look to you now? Does it not seem to you like nothing?
Exactly, like nothing. That's the baseline here, this deep sense of uh, disappointment, inadequacy, comparing their current reality to this glorious past they maybe only heard about.
That's such a human feeling, isn't it? Looking at your own efforts and just feeling they fall short of some ideal.
Totally relatable.
Yeah. So the core tension is right there. This feeling of this is nothing versus these um, powerful, almost unbelievable future promises that are about to land. How does the text start tackling this despair?
Well, the very first message we get here, it's dated, the 21st day of the 7th month. And crucially, it's addressed to the leaders, Zerubbabel the governor, Joshua the high priest, but also very specifically to the remnant of the people.
So it's for everyone, not just the guys in charge.
Right, it's a community message.
And it's incredibly direct, almost a command, isn't it? Repeated 3 times. But now be strong, O Zerubbabel, declares the Lord. Be strong, O Joshua. Be strong, all you people of the land, declares the Lord. And work.
Be strong and work. That's the immediate prescription for feeling like nothing.
But why? Why should they be strong and work?
That's the foundation. For I am with you, declares the Lord Almighty. And this isn't just, a vague feeling. The text immediately roots it in their history. It says, this is what I covenanted with you when you came out of Egypt, and my spirit remains among you. Do not fear. So it connects their current need for strength right back to their origin story, their covenant, and the enduring presence of the divine spirit.
Wow, okay. So connect the struggle to history, to promise, to presence. That's powerful. But then the message just explodes outwards, doesn't it? Goes way beyond their building project.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets cosmic. The text says, in a little while, I will once more shake the heavens and the earth, the sea and the dry land. I will shake all nations.
Woo! Shake the heavens and the earth.
Yeah, this isn't local politics. It's universal upheaval.
Yeah.
A massive shaking.
So while they're feeling small and insignificant, they're being told about this giant global shaking event, and somehow this connects back to the very temple they're working on.
Precisely. The text links the purpose of this shaking directly to their temple. And the desired of all nations will come, and I will fill this house with glory, says the Lord Almighty.
The desired of all nations.
That's the phrase. This place they feel is so insignificant, it's prophesied to become this focal point for, well, global attention, and it's going to be filled with divine glory.
That is just a staggering contrast from seems like nothing to being filled with glory and drawing the desired of all nations. And smack in the middle of this grand vision, there's this almost, practical line. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, declares the Lord Almighty. What's that doing there?
It feels like a reality check, doesn't it? They're probably struggling with resources, feeling poor, maybe comparing their lack of gold to the former temple's legendary wealth.
Right.
This declaration just cuts through that. It's like saying, don't worry about the budget. The ultimate owner of all wealth is backing this project. Their current lack doesn't reflect a limit on God's resources.
Oh, okay. Puts their material limits in perspective. And then comes the kind of the knockout blow to their initial despair. The promise about this specific house, the one they see as nothing.
Yes. This is maybe the most stunning line in this whole section. The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty.
Greater glory than Solomon's temple, the gold-plated legend.
Greater glory. And it continues, and in this place I will grant peace.
Peace in this place. That just completely flips their whole perspective. It suggests the future significance isn't about size or, gold plating, but something deeper, more profound that's going to happen right there in their seemingly humble building.
It totally reframes their standard of measurement. It's the future divine action and presence that will elevate this seemingly small thing way beyond the past glory. And it culminates in peace. That's the core encouragement of this first message.
Okay, message 1. counteracting inadequacy with these huge promises. But then the text totally shifts gears for the next communication. When does this one happen, and what's the approach?
Right, so the word of the Lord comes again, but now it's the 24th day of the ninth month, so some time has passed.
Yeah.
And the method is completely different. Instead of these direct declarations, the prophet Haggai is told, ask the priests what the law says. This message comes via questions about ritual purity laws.
Huh. Legal questions. Why the shift to priests and the law?
Well, the priests were the designated experts on the law, right?
Oh.
Especially things concerning holiness, defilement, the temple, offerings. So framing it this way engages them on their turf, uses their knowledge to draw out a principle. It's a different teaching method.
Okay, makes sense. So what's the principle? You said it was counterintuitive.
Yeah, get this. First question. If a person carries consecrated meat in the fold of his garment, and that fold touches some bread or stew, some wine, oil, or other food, does it become consecrated? Basically, if holy stuff touches regular stuff, does the regular stuff become holy?
Okay. And the priest's answer?
Based on the law, their answer is clear. No.
Right. So holiness doesn't automatically rub off just by proximity or touch. It's contained. Got it. What's question 2?
It's the inverse. If a person defiled by contact with a dead body touches one of these things, food, drink, does it become defiled?
Ah, so if someone ritually unclean touches food.
Yes. And the priest's answer is the opposite. Yes, it becomes defiled.
Wow. Okay, that's the kicker. Holiness doesn't easily spread by touch, but defilement does. It's contagious.
That's the principle being highlighted. It really pushes against any easy assumption that just, being near holy things or doing religious actions automatically makes everything else holy. Instead, it emphasizes the power, the spreading nature of defilement.
That feels significant. And the text immediately applies this principle to the people themselves, doesn't it?
Bang.
Yeah.
Straight to the point. The declaration is, so it is with this people and with this nation in my sight, declares the Lord. Whatever they do and whatever they offer there is defiled.
Oof, that's harsh. Even though they're working on the temple, their actions, their offerings are seen as defiled. Why? What's the root cause here?
The text links it directly to their past, specifically their lack of response to God's discipline before they started rebuilding. The instruction is, give careful thought to this from this day on. Consider how things were before one stone was laid on another in the Lord's temple. They have to remember that time before they got back to work.
And what was life like then? The text describes it, right?
Yeah, it was marked by lack. Really concrete examples. When anyone came to a heap of 20 measures, there were only 10.
Half.
Exactly. When anyone went to a wine vat to draw 50 measures, there were only 20. Harvests, yields, production, all falling drastically short.
And the reason given for this hardship, it wasn't just bad luck.
No, it's presented as divine action. I struck all the work of your hands with blight, mildew, and hail. But here's the critical part, the reason why this happened, according to the text. Yet you did not turn to me, declares the Lord. The hardship was meant to be a wake-up call, to prompt them to turn back, and they hadn't really done it.
Okay, I see the connection now. The past problems, blight, bad harvests, weren't random. They were linked to their spiritual state, their failure to fully turn. And because that state is seen as defiled, and defilement spreads easily, even their current work on the temple, their offerings are kind of tainted by it.
It draws a powerful, maybe uncomfortable line between a spiritual condition not being fully turned towards God and tangible physical lack. And it suggests that simply doing the right religious thing isn't enough if the heart, the underlying state, isn't right. That defilement contaminates the actions.
That principle defilement's contagiousness versus holiness's containment and linking the spiritual state to empty barns, that's really something to chew on. But then, right after this pretty bleak assessment, the message pivots again, doesn't it, towards hope?
Yes, and crucially, this pivot is also tied to this specific day, the same day as the purity questions, the 24th of the ninth month. The instruction comes again, slightly different. From this day on, from this 24th day of the ninth month, give careful thought to the day when the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid.
Okay, focus on the foundation day. Why that specific day? What's the significance?
Well, that day marked a turning point, didn't it? It was the moment they recommitted. They actually started the work again after a long pause. The text contrasts this moment with the immediate past. Is there yet any seed left in the barn? Until now, the vine and the fig tree, the pomegranate and the olive tree have not borne fruit.
So physically, nothing's changed yet. The harvest hasn't suddenly appeared in the barn.
Exactly. The lack is still physically present up to this very day. But because of something happening from this day on, maybe their reflection, their recommitment prompted by this message, there's a radical promise,
Which is,
a clear turning point, declared regardless of the immediate physical reality. From this day on, I will bless you.
wow.
It basically says, okay, that period of lack linked to your past state, it ends today. From this specific day forward, blessing begins.
That's incredible. It suggests that focusing on that foundation, that core act of obedience and turning back, that's the pivot. That's what changes the trajectory from struggle to blessing, even while acknowledging the defiled past. It's about a decisive reorientation.
It really highlights the power of a conscious turn, focusing on God's purpose. The blessing isn't about suddenly becoming perfect, but about marking this clear line from this day on connected to their engaging with the task in this message.
Okay, so that's a massive promise of change. Then there's one last message in the chapter, also on the 24th day. This one's personal, right? To Zerubbabel.
Yes, it feels very specific, like a personal assurance for the leader amidst all this community instruction. And it loops back to that theme of global upheaval from the first message.
The shaking.
Yep. I will shake the heavens and the earth. I will overturn royal thrones and shatter the power of the foreign kingdoms. I will overthrow chariots and their drivers. Horses and their riders will fall, each by the sword of his brother.
So, more cosmic and political chaos. Empires falling, military power collapsing. A picture of, well, massive instability.
Right, a chaotic world stage. But then, personally, to Zerubbabel, right in the middle of all that predicted turmoil, comes this amazing promise. On that day, declares the Lord Almighty, I will take you, my servant Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, declares the Lord, and I will make you like my signet ring, for I have chosen you, declares the Lord Almighty.
Like my signet ring.
Wow. A signet ring wasn't just, jewelry. It was the king's seal. It represented his authority, his identity, his personal stamp of approval.
Exactly. It means being chosen for a position of incredible trust, authority, being identified with the sovereign. So Zerubbabel, the leader of this kind of small, struggling group, working on a temple that initially felt like nothing, he's singled out. He's promised this unique status and significance right when other world powers are collapsing. His importance is tied directly to being chosen for this specific task.
So this chapter is quite a ride. Starts with people feeling totally inadequate, like their work is nothing.
Then it blasts them with these huge cosmic promises of future glory for that very building and peace.
Right.
Then it hits them with this really stark, counterintuitive lesson from the law. Defilement spreads, holiness doesn't easily transfer, and their own defiled state, their failure to turn, was linked to real, tangible hardship.
Yeah, connecting the dots between their spiritual state and their empty barns.
But then it offers the sharp pivot point. From this day on, I will bless you. A specific moment tied to refocusing on the foundation, marking an end to lack and the start of blessing.
A clear turning point.
And finally, amidst prophecies of global chaos, this incredibly personal promise to the leader, Zerubbabel, making him like God's own signet ring, chosen, authoritative, identified with God.
It's a really complex message, isn't it? Woven through different moments, using different styles, declaration, legal questions, historical review, future promise, personal assurance.
Right.
From despair to hope, through challenge to transformation.
It absolutely gives you a lot to think about. That initial feeling of inadequacy, we all feel that sometimes. And the idea that future glory could actually surpass the legendary past and happen in something that feels insignificant now.
And that principle about spiritual influence. Wow. That defilement is somehow more readily contagious than holiness. That really challenges how you might think about your own impact, positive or negative.
It really does. And the text's insistence on linking that internal state, the failure to fully turn with actual physical lack like blight and bad harvests,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder about connections we maybe don't like to draw today.
It definitely pushes against a neat separation between the spiritual and the material that we often assume.
And that final pivot, from this day on, I will bless you, tied to a date, tied to refocusing on the core task. It paints a picture of how decisively engaging with the right thing, turning back, can actually shift reality from struggle to blessing.
It really emphasizes that a conscious reorientation towards God's purpose can be the catalyst for blessing, even acknowledging past failures.
It makes you consider, doesn't it, the whole dynamic of influence, blessing, personal calling, all playing out between human effort and divine promises.
Indeed, it's rich stuff.
So thinking about Haggai chapter 2, how does that principle that defilement spreads easily, while holiness doesn't automatically transfer, How does that challenge our assumptions about influence and impact today? And how does the text's blunt connection between not fully turning and tangible lack prompt us to consider links between our own inner state and outer circumstances, maybe in ways we usually don't?
Those are definitely the kind of questions this ancient text leaves buzzing in your head, aren't they?
Definitely something to sit with. That wraps up this deep dive.